very exciting time of year for a lot of football teams around the country. We're really excited about our football team and training camp and throwing a great training camp and being the best that we can be here at the end of the month of August. It's got to be the best one we've had. We've had the best offseason, best summer. Our guys look great physically today. We're in great shape, but we're not in football shape. We got to work on our practice tempo. We're going to work on the execution, a lot of things. But really like the energy and excitement and focus of our players. But when you go out on day one, that's what you expect. But also, it gives you an idea of where you're at and what things you need to work on as you move forward. But we have a great strength and conditioning staff led by Kenny Parker, one of the best in the country, and he's done a great job with our players and their attitudes and their bodies and the way they're running around to really look good here on day one. So with that, I'll go ahead and open up for questions.
Coach, what strengths were you able to take away from the quarterback today, specifically Gio, Lewis, and Sitkowski?
The thing I could see from the quarterback position is they have a much better understanding of our offense after spring practice and summer workouts. Obviously, when we started in the spring, it was all new, and there was a lot of time that had to be put in just to learn how to call the play, call formations, get everybody lined up, go through the reads. Much smoother here this fall in training camp after day one. Really could tell they've got a command, at least with day one install. So that was good. The execution obviously has to get better. Got a long way to go, to say we got a quarterback that we could go win with right now. But it's day one, and that's pretty much what we figured. But the mental understanding of what we're doing is the strength from what I saw today.
You still have we talked in Chicago a little bit about timeline. Is that like 2 weeks out before opening game?
Yeah, there's no date. There's no set timeline. It's whenever we feel comfortable that our team is rallying around somebody and somebody's got command, of the offense and the rest of the team, and goes out there and is consistently doing what we want them to do. When is that? I don't know. I'm hoping sooner than later, but it's day one. We got a lot of work to do, and there's no set date.
Coach, you moved a lot of guys around, it seems, with some of the guys being out. Can you talk about some of those position changes?
We made, I'm trying to think, off the top of my head, we moved Elijah Barnwell from offense to defense. It was a defensive player in high school, did a really nice job. He's a physical kid. His highlight film as a defensive player was pretty impressive. He actually came to us and asked us to move. Very selfless move. It's all about the team for him and finding a role that he could help us this year. He's coming off an ACL. We've got quite a few guys at running back, and he saw an opportunity to help our football team on the defensive side, so he approached us, which was great. We moved Olakunle, 03, from Will linebacker to Sam linebacker. He's played it before. He played it some last year. We put him back at that position, and he got some reps there today. He looks good physically, so not a big change for him. In the spring, we had moved Damon Hayes from corner to safety. In spring, we repped him an individual. Late in spring game, he took all safety reps. So that wasn't really a move, because of any issues that have happened. That was one that we were planning on making anyway. So those are probably the three that we made changes with. Either because we thought that was what was best for our football team, or in response to some guys not being with us right at the moment.
I know Fogg in the spring was, I believe, only at weak side, but do you have to put him at middle?
He's nothing's changed there. I mean, he is where he's at. Rashawn Battles, our backup Mike linebacker, exactly where he's been. So there's no change there at all.
With the 6 players on here, how concerned are you about the depth of, I guess, particularly the back 7?
I'm not really concerned about the depth of back 7. I'm more concerned about the depth on special teams. We in certain positions, especially at linebacker, have really felt like we've recruited well, and it was the position that we had the most depth at going into the season. On day one with guys not here, there is a little bit of concern there, but it hurts us more on special teams. We're going to ask more out of certain guys in that phase than what we probably had planned to do going into the season. But our guys are ready to do whatever they got to do to help our football team. So I'm not concerned at all.
Could this be a situation where you might have to play true freshmen, a little earlier than normal because of it?
No, I don't think so. It's no different than what we had to do last year. Last year we had probably 4, 5, 6 freshmen somewhere in there that played on special teams, and that was all they did. Don't anticipate that being any different. I'm hoping some guys show that they're going to be game ready by the time we're through training camp and ready to go, and not having any concerns about it. But it's too early to tell, who's going to have to try to get thrown into action and who won't at the moment. But I feel good about our football team, especially on both sides of the ball. It's just the special teams depth's a little concerning.
Coach, Bo Melton showed good burst off the line of scrimmage, and good long speed down the field. What do you think of his potential this year, and what do you think of his performance today during practice?
You know, to comment on his performance in practice, you know, I'm not ready to do that yet until I watch the film. Based on what I saw from Bo in his off season and spring and summer, he's got potential to be a big-time playmaker for us. We need him to be. You know, we've kind of been missing that a little bit offensively. We have not had a lot of explosive plays, especially in the pass game. And if we're going to move this program forward, you know, we got to do better on offense, and we got to get more explosive plays. And a guy like Bo Melton has to be somebody that can provide those for us.
Speaking of explosiveness, Blackshear caught a deep ball in practice today, and Hilliman caught a couple of receptions in the flat. Do you expect your running backs this year to make big plays for you, as far as being receivers out of the backfield?
I think they have a chance to do that. That's part of Coach McNulty's offense, is we're going to get the ball in our best playmakers' hands. Raheem is obviously one of our best playmakers. And we're going to line him up in multiple spots to get that done. So he's going to have to learn a lot. He's going to have to learn different positions because we want to be multiple with what we do with him. So from the tight ends to wideouts to running backs, they're all going to have an opportunity to get the ball in space. But it just depends on where they're going to be lined up to do that from.
Chris, did you have any reaction to what's going on this week with Urban Meyer and Ohio State, having been there pretty recently?
Yeah, you know, I've followed it, obviously. You know, I'd start by saying, you know, we take any type of abuse, you know, whether it be versus a female, a male, domestic abuse or not, very seriously. We have a lot of sympathy for victims in those situations. I can't tell you, you know, who knew what when, any of that type of stuff. I know I was there. And that's about all I can tell you. You know, they'll go through an investigation. You know, obviously you guys know how I feel about Coach Meyer and his family, but it's a very serious, you know, situation, and one that I'm sure all parties there will take very seriously.
Do you use this situation as like to speak to your staff? I mean, about make sure that all information gets to you, so you can, as the head of the program, can kind of make sure these things don't happen here.
Yeah, I mean, every opportunity you get to use it as a teachable moment for your players or staff, regardless of where the situation happened. You know, I think we try to do a great job of being out in front. You know, when you're dealing with so many people in an organization, problems are going to come up, whether it's from players, support staff. You hope that you've hired the right type of people to make the right type of decisions, be great role models for the players, for the university, but issues are going to come up. And so we talk about them in anticipation of something like that, and you know, what are the accepted behaviors, what are the non-accepted behaviors, you know, what are the standards that you have to do your job with, and you know, here in the building with the players and away from here. So we talk about that a lot, and there have been a lot of teachable moments here from around the country, you know, with other coaches. As you look at some other guys that had issues, you know, I think there's another, you know, staff in the ACC or something that had an issue that in the spring that we used as an opportunity to talk about as a teachable moment too. So it's about anticipation, it's about communication, and it's about hiring the right people around you. And then when issues come up, handle them, you know, the right way, and gather facts, gather information, and deal with them the best way that you and the university feel fit.
Can you compare where you are now as opposed to maybe day one last summer? Does it feel like light years ahead?
I don't know if, you know, light years ahead, it would be the right description. I would say we're definitely ahead. I would think here as we progress into training camp, hopefully that gap will grow from where we are today, from where we were, you know, a year ago, because just the mental understanding of everything we're doing on both sides of the ball is a lot greater. Our guys just, you know, they communicated better, lined up, responded, you know, just reacted to things a lot faster. So as we continue to go and improve and clean up the details, I think we're going to be much further along as we get through the middle of camp than we were at any time last year.
Samir Mickens looked like he was out there. How did
Yeah.
that kind of work out to get him to campus? It seems like the plan was for him to prep.
That was the original plan, was for him to go to Milford Academy. Obviously, you know, we had some issues that came up and changed our roster. And to do what was in the best interest of our football team, we needed to get another body into camp, and that's really how it came about.
So is he a walk-on?
No, he will end up being on scholarship.
Okay.
Chris, you worked extremely hard to clean up the culture of this program. Is it disappointing that you're dealing with this investigation that's hovering over things? And are you concerned that people might look at it from the outside and say, Rutgers didn't get it cleaned?
You know, I'll start by saying that, you know, that I'm concerned about the young men that are in our program. I think we've done an outstanding job of recruiting the right type of player, character-wise, decision-making wise, that fit what we want. And again, like I mentioned earlier, you look around the country when you're dealing with 17 to 22-year-olds, you know, on a college campus, there are a lot of opportunities to be put in situations where you got to make a decision. And unfortunately, you know, we had some young men that made a poor decision, made a mistake, and you know, we'll deal with it. But what people on the outside think, I can't control that. That's, you know, everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's going to express their opinion. Only thing I can do is control what I can control, and that's our attitude and our response here within this program, and it's been outstanding. We use events, unfortunately, like this to try to bring our team closer together, and I think that's exactly what happened. Our team is rallying around with each other, and we've got great relationships in this program. You know, I said at the Big Ten Media Day, one of the areas we've got to get better at is player-to-player accountability, because we're not with them every hour of the day. We're just not. And it's just like our own kids at home. You hope through education and training and accountability that, you know, when guys are faced with a decision, that they make the right one.
It is like your kids at home. In some ways, you treat them that way.
That's it. Yeah.
Was there a level of disappointment that?
There absolutely is. Yeah, there is. It's no different than my own kids. If one of my own kids makes a poor decision, I get disappointed. Then I got to pick myself up and respond and you know, hand out the discipline and the consequences and move on. And that's exactly what we did here. But we coach with the mindset that we're going to coach like parents. These young men that come into our program are part of our family, and we're going to be treating them like that. I care about these kids a lot, but again, when mistakes are made, we got to look at each individual, and we got to figure out what's best for that individual in our program.
Isaiah Pacheco, what have you seen from him so far? It seems like he put on a lot of weight and muscle this offseason.
Yeah, he looks good physically, and he's learning the position. He's learning the offense. He looked good out there today. He looked good in the spring. I'm really fired up about him. I don't know how much he'll, you know, factor in yet. It's still early, but right now on the depth chart, he'd probably be the fourth running back. We had 4 running backs that could play and rotate. You know, I feel really good about that. But he'll probably help us on special teams for sure, because he's you know, a ready to play player physically, and he looks good from that standpoint.
You were
Take
very,
2 more questions.
You were very high in Chicago about Jared Paul. How much of a role do you envision him, you know, kind of having pretty immediately?
I hope a lot. You know, he's got to progress a lot as we go through training camp. He's had a great summer. He looks great physically. He moves exceptionally well for his size. He understands the position. We got him at corner. He understands the position, especially as a press player. He's really proficient in his movement as a press corner. But we'll see how he continues to progress in camp as we throw more stuff at him defensively. And he's got to react to more things offensively and see how he handles it.
With Leslie Austin coming back and Isaiah and Trey in there, how do you work those 3 guys in?
You know, Bless is on the one line. Isaiah and Bless are our starting corners right now today. On the depth chart, Trey and Jarrett Paul are our backup corners. And we just split the reps, 1s and 2s, and they get all those reps. And, you know, depending on performance, you know, somebody may earn an opportunity to get some more reps with the 1s, and we'll work through that as we go through training camp. But it's all laid out, how many reps the 1s will get, how many reps the 2s will get. And the good thing is I feel really good about at least 4 corners out there. And then we got a couple other guys we got to develop to potentially get in the mix. But I think it's a strength of our football team. Bless is a great player. He and Isaiah have played a lot of football here. Trey Avery, I think, is going to be a rising star and have a guy that he's a guy that's going to have a chance to do some great things for us. And we already talked about Jarrett Paul. So I probably feel as good about our corner position right now today as I have at any time since I've been here. And especially I think it's compared to all the units on our football team, it's one of the strengths.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Coach.
guys.